Hello everyone, I'm Shannon Kantner and you're watching a special CMSD-TV program where we're sitting down with the district's Executive Director of School Nutrition, Chris Burkhardt, for a Q&A about everything from new menu items to new uniforms for kitchen staff. Thanks so much for joining us here, Chris. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, you've been with the district in this role for about a year now. The department used to be known as Food and Child Nutrition Services, and now it's called School Nutrition. So tell us about that name change and your vision for CMSD School Nutrition.
Well, first of all, as you just said, it's a mouthful, Food and Child Nutrition Services. And quite frankly, it was tough for folks to not only say it, but to write it, to type it. And we didn't have any branding that went with it. So what we did was we worked with the communications department here at the district. We came up with a new name, we came up with a new logo, and it really surrounds ourselves with looking at the entire school and the wellness behind the entire school, as well as the nutrition that goes with it. So we think it's apt for today's day and age. It's shorter, it's a lot more user-friendly when it comes to marketing.
So what does school nutrition, now that that's the name of the department, what does that mean to you? What does that mean you're focused on for the district?
So our focuses throughout the district are on lifelong habits around nutrition. So we can put a healthy meal together for every day that school is in session, but we want students to recognize nutrition all throughout the day, school day, and also when they're home, but also throughout the entire year, maybe when school's not in session. So we want nutrition to be not a finish line, but kind of a journey for them.
Great. Well, you've been able to start a lot of new programs and initiatives in schools with that in mind. Talk to us about some of those changes that you've been able to make in this past year.
Well, the first change that I think everyone can see is our focus on fresh fruits and vegetables. We've invested over $1.5 million this year in bringing fresh fruits and vegetables to the district. In the past, it was a lot of canned and processed fruits and vegetables, and we really want students to try those options in their natural state. And we offer bananas, apples, oranges, pears every single day with every meal. So that's something visually students can see. And we're also putting together vegetables and fruits as part of the fresh fruit and vegetable program that students don't necessarily have access to. For example, we may have dragon fruit on the menu or rambutan, so that students can try these items that they normally wouldn't get to try. Some of the other things that we're really working on is having variety in the schools. And so it's not a one-size-fits-all program. Every student has a different taste, and obviously we have 40,000 scholars within our district, all of which have different tastes. So we're trying to give students more and more options throughout the day, both breakfast and for lunch. So those are the two really overarching themes that we're putting forth over the past year and moving forward to next year as well.
And not only more options, but it looks nicer too, right? So talk to us about that, what we might see in schools if we were to visit during a meal.
So part of the school nutrition logo, which has fresh fruits and vegetables part of it, it's also displaying those in an appealing atmosphere. So we've invested in a lot of new equipment and utilizing some equipment we've had in-house and putting those fruits and vegetables and also our meals, quite frankly, out so they look more restaurant style. So it looks more like a food court style, which students resonate with. They go to malls, they go to food courts, they go to convenience stores, which have these types of options available, so they're just grab and go. Students these days are more apt to eat when it's a grab and go setting because a lot of them have technology in one hand or eating with the other, and or they're doing something else throughout the day.
So the students, it sounds like you're really trying to reach them on their level, but as a student, it really is a rite of passage to complain about school lunch, right? I mean, that's just how it goes. We've all been there, but you really are, it sounds like, trying to make changes for students. So what are some of the ways you're improving that meal specifically?
Well, we want our meals not only to be healthful, but we want them to taste good. So we actually look at what's going on outside of our school district. What are those fast food restaurants? What are those family restaurants doing? And what's popular with students? Obviously, the Chipotle concept is very popular right now. Asian fusion is very popular right now. We're trying to figure out how to take those recipes that students eat outside of the district and make them healthy and be able to serve them in our district. So, for example, an item such as a Kentucky Fried Chicken bowl that is very popular, we've retweak the recipe so that we can serve it in our schools as a lunch option, for example. So a lot of what we're doing is putting those meals together so that they look like those outside meals, but are healthier.
I know one of those initiatives are the flavor stations, which I love
Yes.
seeing in schools. Tell us about those.
So the flavor stations came out of the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act that was passed in 2010. It really eliminated or reduced significantly sodium in the foods that students eat, as well as fats, trans fats, and made everything whole grain. Well, once you start to take those items out of foods, the flavor starts to go away. So to combat that, we've put in flavor stations, and some of those are shakers of seasonings that students can put on their foods. Others are sauces that they can put on their foods, just to change the flavor of the product, and really to kind of allow students to customize their meals. In today's day and age, students want to be able to customize their meal. They just don't want something right off of a serving line. So that gives us the ability to change the meal up a little bit on the serving line, and then the students can then change it up on their own accord.
And you're also letting them have some say in the meal itself, right? You're doing these taste tests to decide on new menu items. Tell us about that process.
So we've done about a dozen taste tests over the course of the past 6 months, and we really want student input. So through our web page, we ask questions on what would you like to see on the menu, and sometimes that equates to we get products in that students want, and then we'll take it to a school during lunch or during breakfast and say, try this, what do you think? And truly that's how we gauge what items go on the menu. We have a menu committee, so the committee is made up of school administrators as well as cooks in our kitchen and managers in our kitchen, but it's also students who actually drive what goes on the menu every single day.
And when it actually comes down to cooking those menu items, the cooking and the serving, that's different too now, right?
Exactly. So we've made a change to a speed scratch concept, which means we are not just heating and serving anymore. We're actually training our kitchen staff actually how to cook. For many, many years, we didn't cook in our district. We had basically module meals, which were similar to TV dinners, that we cooked 300 or 400 meals at a time and pulled out and handed to students. Now we're getting back to grassroots cooking, and we found that it resonates with students. It's more like what they're getting outside of the district. So we're on that journey. It doesn't happen overnight, so over the next 2 to 3 years, we're making those changes. And it's starting small, and just as we get our cooks and our managers trained, they're trying new menu items.
And served different as well, right? It sort of looks nice. You talked about the display cases and equipment earlier, yes. But in other ways too, they are making it more appealing for the students as they go through the line.
Absolutely. So we used to what I used to affectionately refer to as trough feeding, where we had just large amounts of food on the serving line, and now we're really looking at a couple of different options. One is a customizable option where students come up to a serving line and food is made to order. We also have a grab and go area in most of our high schools where students, if they want a hamburger or a chicken sandwich or a slice of pizza, they can just grab that and go along on their way. We're also going to introduce, hopefully next year, is some customizable bars. So we'll have a taco bar, a pasta bar, so students can also get those items as well. So we're really changing the face of K-12 food service.
And it sounds like you're really listening to what the students want, which is important. And we actually have some students from Garrett Morgan High School, a National Gold Award winner in the Healthy Schools program, who wanted to ask you a few questions too. So let's hear from our first student. And this question, I believe, is about the taste or maybe lack thereof, what they think at least of some of the school lunches.
Why does food have to be so bland?
So that's a great question. The school meals have changed significantly over the past 7 to 10 years, and that came from the regulations that USDA handed down to us to make school meals healthier. And as a result, we've had to eliminate a lot of things that make food taste better, for example. So we are putting different recipes together. We're looking at new techniques to cook. We're adding more fresh, flavorful items into the menu, but we're also adding things like flavor stations in so that students can get that flavor, but still get that nutrition they deserve.
Excellent. And I know you've also made a strong push to increase school breakfast participation. We talked a lot about lunch and that meal, but breakfast is obviously what most people would say is the most important meal of the day. So talk to us about those efforts and why it was a focus for the district.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and a lot of students come into school not having breakfast. And we know, at least I know, when I'm not eating breakfast, I can't focus, and students are no different. So it's really important for them to get breakfast in the morning so that they can learn throughout the day. It's the fuel for their success. And so we've really put a conscious effort to make breakfast available to students. So what does that mean? We're actually putting up kiosks where students can grab and go breakfast. We're actually moving the breakfast line to a lot of the entrances of the school. So if students are going somewhere else within the school versus the cafeteria, they can grab and go those items and go right to class. So it's really being offered in a lot of different locations, but also variety. We used to have one option, it was take it or leave it, and now we have 15 different options available every day for breakfast.
Wow, and is it working? Are you seeing results?
We're seeing a huge increase in breakfast participation, but we have still a long way to go. On average, we are up around 2,000 to 3,000 meals per day within the district, which is about a 10% increase.
Wow, that's great. Well, I know we have another question from a Garrett Morgan student right on this topic, some of their breakfast options that they're not convinced that they're healthy options for them. Let's take a listen.
Hi, my name is Roslyn, and Mr. Burkhardt, I'm wondering why Pop-Tarts and donuts are served at breakfast. That can't be healthy.
So I get that question all the time about donuts and Pop-Tarts. Those can't be healthy, and actually they are. The donuts and Pop-Tarts that we serve in schools are not the same that you get in the grocery stores. Ours are whole grain, ours are lower in sugar, ours are lower in fat. So they're actually made specifically by those manufacturers for us. We hope that students eat those items, but don't eat them every day. Obviously variety and moderation is part of a healthful diet. So please eat them, please know that they're healthy, but we also have other healthy items available every single day as well.
I'm sorry, it was really hard to listen to that answer because all I heard was healthy Pop-Tarts and donuts. That's very exciting news here. But another exciting initiative is the summer meals program within school nutrition. Why is that so important, and what can we expect this summer for our students and families? What is that program?
Yes. So hunger doesn't take a summer vacation like school. Students are hungry in the summer as well, and they need that nourishment so that they can learn. We all have some summer schools that are in session. Obviously, we have breakfast and lunch available for those students. But for those students who aren't in school, we have 15 sites across the city of Cleveland that we offer lunch for. We also have 2 supper sites that we are going to open this year for students who want a dinner menu, for example. So obviously, it's very, very important, and we hope that students and families will take advantage of that.
That's excellent. And I believe we have one more question from a Garrett Morgan student. This is about the cost of school meals.
How much do the meals cost? Because they don't taste like the quality meals that I have at home or at a restaurant.
So we get reimbursed by the USDA for our meals, and that's an average of about $3 a meal. If you consider that half of that goes to our labor force to make sure that we have cooks and managers and servers in our kitchens to make sure that happens, we have about $1.50 or $1.75 left to put a menu together for all 5 components that go into lunch and all 4 components that go into breakfast. That's not a heck of a lot of money. So it's really tough, and we actually work on a penny business. We try to maximize our food options by being fiscally responsible in the same token. We're bringing more items to the district that are fresh, which obviously cost a little bit more, but we're also bringing brand name items to the district so that they resonate with students. One example may be products from General Mills or Tyson, just to name a few. And we hope that students will recognize those brand names and recognize that quality and hopefully look at school meals in a little bit different light.
Mm-hmm. Get them excited to eat at school. I've seen some of those meals. They look and smell delicious. I mean, I wouldn't be upset. So finally, what can we expect in the next school year in terms of school nutrition and what we can look out for?
So the biggest push we're going to look at this year is really going to those grassroots cooking efforts. We're training our staff on actually how to cook, and we're really putting together recipes and menus that incorporate that. Obviously, we are looking at a bunch of different recipes, a bunch of different menu items that are available, and also pushing out more and more variety. So what you saw in the past year is just an inkling of what's going to come.
Well, that's exciting.
Yes.
A lot to come on the horizon. I know you even mentioned maybe some new uniforms, right, for the
Yes.
lunch staff?
Yes, and so now that we have a new name and a new logo, we want to brand that concept. So we're looking at not only uniforms, but making those cafeterias a little bit more inviting to eat in. And so sometimes that's tables, sometimes it's a fresh coat of paint, and sometimes that's marketing. So hopefully students will see some big differences next year.
It's very exciting, new and improved, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here with us and talking to us about school nutrition. I learned a lot, certainly, and I don't know, I might want to get my next lunch in one of our schools, I think. All right, thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.
For more programming like this, you can always visit the CMSD News Bureau website at clevelandmetroschools.org/news. We'll see you next time.